Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join ERPA, Daytona State College, and Florida State College at Jacksonville for this PeopleSoft Managed Services webinar. A couple of quick housekeeping items, if you will. As you're joining, all of our participants will be on muted and will remain muted. However, you can always utilize the chat function to submit a question or to submit a comment throughout the presentation, and we will have a Q&A period towards the end too, to offer up further conversation and discussion around any item that you would like to know more about. So today's webinar and its panelists include Vishal Kothari, Marek Juracek, Chris Martin, and myself, Cecil Cadwallader. Together, we have probably over 50 years of collective PeopleSoft experience. My name, again, is Cecil Cadwallader, and I am responsible for our customer relationships in the Southeast. I've been engaged or working with PeopleSoft and delivering PeopleSoft solutions, be it upgrades, implementations, or managed services efforts, dating back to version 5 of PeopleSoft, so almost 25 years. Vishal, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Cecil. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Vishal Kothari, and I lead the Managed Services Delivery and Solutions here at ERPA. I also lead our Center of Excellence, which is in Dublin, Ohio. I have been in the PeopleSoft space for 22 years now and have been involved in several managed services and project engagements. So thank you everyone for taking the time out and being here in this webinar today. Marek, can you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Vishal, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marek Juracek. I am IT Director at Daytona State College. I've been with the college for 18 years. I am responsible for enterprise application support, which primarily includes new application development, customizations, system integrations, PeopleSoft security, business analysis, system upgrades, and other items. We've been on PeopleSoft since 2014, so I have about 6 years of experience, PeopleSoft experience, starting with PeopleTools version 8.5.4. That's it for my quick introduction, and I will pass the mic to my colleague, Chris Martin.
Thanks, Marek. Good afternoon, this is Chris Martin. I serve as Executive Director of Enterprise Applications with Florida State College at Jacksonville. I've been with the college for just short of almost 23 years and have served in various roles throughout my career. I've done desktop support when I started, networks, servers, application development, to my current role managing the ERP, databases, integrations, and also application operations.
Perfect, thank you guys. So for today's agenda, what we have prepared and lay out is we're going to begin with a brief overview of ERPA, talk a little bit about our capabilities and offerings relative to managed services, and we're going to follow that by overviews for both Daytona State College and Florida State College at Jacksonville to include their current PeopleSoft environment, specific details encompassing the drivers in their journey towards managed services, and talk a little bit about their realized value and benefits as it relates to ERPA's managed services delivery in our overall partnership with each institution. And then we'll wrap things up and really kind of open up the conversation, if you will, through the chat feature to the audience with a Q&A period. But again, thank you all for joining. We're happy to have you as part of our audience for this webinar. So a little bit about ERPA. ERPA has been providing tailored PeopleSoft services and solutions for over 20 years. And as Vishal mentioned earlier, we are headquartered in Dublin, Ohio, which happened to be the host city, if you will, for 2 recent PGA Tour events. Our team at ERPA continues to grow, and we presently have over 500 PeopleSoft experts, making us one of the largest, if not the largest, PeopleSoft-centric professional services organization in the country. You probably have noticed and are aware of Oracle's continued support of PeopleSoft for the next 10 years. This is directly in line with our vision of reinvesting in the technology and our people as it relates to PeopleSoft. Developing new PeopleSoft-related innovations and accelerators are key focal points for ERPA as we try to better support and serve our customers and the PeopleSoft community. Vishal will now provide a more detailed overview around ERPA's managed services offering.
So PeopleSoft forms the core of the services that we offer. And we have been providing PeopleSoft services for the last 20 years. And we are continuing to make investments in our center of excellence, as well as we are continuing to innovate. And part of the investment we are making in researching and developing new accelerators and services to A, improve the efficiency, and then B, solve the problems that our customers face. And some of these innovations include Active Genie that we have developed for managed hosting, which is a tool that we built for managing and monitoring PeopleSoft infrastructure on cloud, such as whether it's AWS, OCI, or Azure. And then we also have automated testing. We also have developed pre-configured fluid pages, which are ready to be deployed for rapid fluid enablement and upgrade/image update accelerators. So our portfolio of services is really driven by, I would say, our center of excellence. In the center of excellence, we have 50 of our best and brightest PeopleSoft experts. And from the COE, we can be an extension of our customer's organization, and we provide the entire gamut of PeopleSoft services through our center of excellence, whether it's managed services, managed hosting, implementations, upgrades, PUM updates, or any other value-added services such as automated testing and rapid deployment for security solutions. So our culture is a culture of care focused on customer and employee success. And the success we bring to our customers is highlighted and powered by our governance plan and customer success team, as well as our expertise in PeopleSoft. I would add that we firmly believe that your success, both as an individual and organizational, is our only measure of success. And this culture has won numerous awards, such as Best Places to Work in Ohio and Inc. 5000 and various such awards. And now I'm going to talk about our managed service offering. So our managed service offering is backed by strong service management elements, help desk and ticketing system, industry-leading service level agreement, round-the-clock support, and strong engagement governance. And this offering is comprehensive and consists of all components, as you can see on the slide: managed cloud hosting, incident and problem management, which involves break fix, data issue resolution, and for recurring issues, the root cause analysis and remediation of those. Release management, which involves keeping current with PUM updates, regulatory updates, security related patches, and so on. Application management, which includes your day-to-day PeopleSoft administration, support for integrations, support for batch jobs, backups, refreshes, database and operating system administration layers as well. And of course, the additional services also include functional support, application development, testing automation, security solutions and services, and rapid fluid enablement. So to summarize, this is kind of a comprehensive managed service offerings that we are offering to our customers today. Now I'll pass it over to Marek to provide an overview about the Daytona State College.
Thank you, Vishal. Daytona State College is a public college located in Daytona Beach, Florida. We are part of the Florida college system regionally accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. We offer more than 100 certificate, associate, and bachelor's degree programs. We also offer a variety of continuing and adult education courses. We have 7 instructional sites where last year we served over 24,000 students and had about 1,500 employees. We are very proud to have in place among the top tier of best online bachelor's programs for 8 consecutive years by US News and World Report. Also, the US Department of Education's College Affordability and Transparency Center has ranked DSC among the top 50 most affordable public 4-year institutions in the country, with less than half the tuition of the national average. Now, as for our PeopleSoft environment, we are currently utilizing 4 major PeopleSoft systems: the Human Capital Management System, the Financials and Supply Chain Management System, Campus Solutions, and the Interaction Hub. As I mentioned before, we started our migration to PeopleSoft in July of 2014. It took us a little bit over a year and a half to complete all 4 projects. We are a Microsoft shop, so our backend database is Microsoft SQL Server. We are currently upgrading PeopleTools from version 8.5.6 to 8.5.7, and we are also running in the cloud. And of course, we have partnered with ERPA for the management and support tasks. So that's where we are and what we do at Daytona State College.
Thanks, Marek. And Chris, can you give a little overview about Florida State College at Jacksonville?
Sure. Florida State College at Jacksonville, or FSCJ as we call it locally, is located in Northeast Florida in the city of Jacksonville. For those that don't know Jacksonville, Florida, it's the largest city in the US by area, with a population around 1 million, and we're growing. FSCJ, similar to Daytona here, the same as Daytona, is also part of the Florida college system that encompasses 28 schools that operate throughout the state of Florida. At FSCJ, we offer traditional college credit as well as hybrid online classes. The convenience of this permits students from around the world to attend classes in our environment, and that helps them with their offering for the flexibility of the challenges of day-to-day life that we face. And in particular, with this scenario that we faced this past year, really has helped us, particularly in the online realm. As far as ERP, we've been running, similar to Daytona, PeopleSoft since 2014 when we began implementation. We operate all 3 pillars that include HCM, finance, and student. None of these applications run on-prem as well due to our cloud-hosted first strategy that we adopted prior to this implementation and continues to be part of our strategic direction going forward with applications that we buy today. We are an Oracle and Linux shop, so that's how we operate PeopleSoft, and we've been doing that since the beginning. Just on a side note, if there's any interest in taking any classes, please feel free to contact me. Thanks. I had to put that plug in.
Thank you, Chris. Now we will jump over and take a few minutes to walk through some of the key drivers that led FSCJ and Daytona State towards managed services. Really in no particular order, but Chris, will you lead us through the conversation around improving the availability and reliability of IT applications?
Sure. As I indicated with that introduction to the college, we have a cloud or hosted first strategy that we have had in place at our institution for many years. Part of this strategy involves selection of services that have strong SLAs to support the business and also provide for that high availability and reliability, as well as deliver that continuous improvement for services, because we know that nothing is going to, there's got to be that continuous improvement. So that's part of one of the drivers that took us where we are.
Mark, do you have anything to add?
So yes, as Chris said, I think it would be very difficult to compete with cloud and managed service providers in this arena. I do have a talented team, but it is a small team, and so providing 24/7 support services would not be really feasible, without making some major changes to our structure and mission. And at the end, such changes would certainly not be cost effective.
Great, thank you. And Mark, what about the driver around improving the overall service level and end user customer satisfaction for the application usage?
A great point. It goes without saying that regardless of what time or day it is, production issues need immediate attention, and that's exactly what we get from the ERPA team. It's a 24/7 support. The resolution times may vary depending on the type of issue, but we know now that if the issue is on the technical side, we can count on ERPA's team and their experience to get us to the fastest resolution. In addition to having high availability and reliability of the production systems, the maintenance of our non-production environments, and in our case, we have over 20 of them, used for development, testing, and training purposes, are also critical to our operations. The ERPA team has been able, in vast majority of cases, to address the schedule requirements of our end users and have these environments ready for them to test new configurations and new resolutions, issue resolutions, and other issues as needed.
And Chris, do you have anything else that you might want to add?
I don't. Mark really covered that well. For us, we get the same experience, and our needs are very much similar. And like the service levels and our end user customer satisfaction, as far as this goes, are definitely proven over the years that we've been with you, that we hear that information constantly from our users. So no, I don't. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Chris, what about other drivers as it relates to having access to product or industry expertise and experience, as it relates to supporting and maintaining the PeopleSoft application?
At FSCJ, we have, and we continue to have, the availability of resources from ERPA that we could not staff for. And that is what Mark had earlier indicated as well. From the application itself, to the database level, the expertise that we have available to us has made major contributions to our success with PeopleSoft. We would not have been able to do this without that knowledge set that we don't need that demand every day, but on those occasions when we do, it really has made a difference.
Great. And Mark, for you in Daytona State, is similar kind of experience or anything else to add?
Very similar, but I'd like to reiterate, because this is such an important item for us. With the complex PeopleSoft infrastructure and application stacks, it has really proven critical to us to have ERPA's depth in knowledge ready when we run into these, any new or complex technical issues. As Chris said, on these occasions, our assigned ERPA support team reaches out to the rest of the ERPA team members, and they brainstorm, and the result is that we get really faster and better service back. We've taken advantage of ERPA's experience many times before. Especially when we run into production issues or when we run into upgrade issues where adjusting project timelines is not an option.
And what about Mark as well, just kind of transitioning, as it you know, the day-to-day kind of care and feeding of PeopleSoft can be a distraction and a deterrent for organizations, you know, that are really trying to focus and drive their core mission and core initiatives around their mission. How has managed services helped you guys stay focused on those things without worrying about the care and feeding of PeopleSoft?
Yeah, absolutely. Great benefit of having managed services. Having ERPA manage our PeopleSoft environments really allows us to focus our resources on trying to get the best value out of PeopleSoft, and you know, aligning our applications and services with the mission of the college and the needs of our users. As an example, the time that we don't you know, have to spend on maintaining our PeopleSoft environments, we, instead of spend that time on fully researching new PeopleSoft features and enhancements, and you know, in turn we adapt them and, you know, further improve our efficiency and effectiveness of our operations. So very important point for us.
Chris, what about at FSCJ?
We are very much similar to what Marek's point was for Daytona. We don't, ERP is not the most important piece. It runs the business, yes. I think everybody understands that, but there are strategic and core initiatives that have nothing to do with ERP, that we really have had a lot more time to focus on, and in some cases integrate to ERP. But ERP is not the most important thing, and managed service has helped us to not have to handle that maintenance or those routine operations that PeopleSoft requires, because it is a big system and we own a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, one of the other drivers too, and certainly I think it's, you know, a key consideration for people today is, you know, it's all around cost management and how do you lower your overall operating cost and keeping it predictable, right? How has the managed services done that for you guys at FSCJ, Chris?
Well, further reinforcing my earlier statement, where we could not afford to staff to the levels necessary to support the system. I mean, it's just, we're higher ed and everybody understands, I think in our world, we just don't get those budgets that perhaps other industries do. But this system, the way it is currently supported, we are able to keep the staffing level to a reasonable level, because then again, it goes back to the knowledge that we have access to and the support levels we're receiving keep us in a pattern that we can plan for, and we know what our expenditure is going to be for budget, and we can kind of plan for that way ahead of time and way before any of the budget discussions occur at an annual basis.
And Mark, for Daytona State?
No, not much to add here. Chris describes our situation as well. Well, I already mentioned that, you know, in general, using a managed services partner can be a very cost-effective approach, and it certainly is in our case.
Great. And then Mark, just kind of transitioning to, right, how are the managed services able to help you guys stay current?
This is a great driver again. So our goal at DSC, Daytona State College, is to stay up to date and in supported mode from Oracle standpoint, as well as to stay current on PALM and patches. So obviously, having ERPA team behind us and supporting us in this, you know, constant PeopleSoft upgrade cycle is critical. It would be very challenging to handle multiple functional and technical upgrades and critical security patching across multiple environments at the same time. You know, while we do plan ahead to have these upgrade and patching projects spread out across the whole year, to avoid resource contention. Almost every year, more unexpected high priority projects get added to this already busy plan. So again, our partnership with ERPA gives us the flexibility to handle these situations quite well.
And Chris, from an FSCJ standpoint, I don't know if there's anything really unique or different from what Mark was stating, but maybe in addition, if there is, but also the whole regulatory and statutory compliance requirements.
Sure. Yes, we're very much similar to Daytona. We all, for those that don't know, I mean, Oracle does release those regulatory and statutory requirements quarterly, but we also get the PUM images that Mark indicated, and we keep up with all of them. It just depends on the organizations. But any ERP requires maintenance, and PeopleSoft is definitely not an exception. The dependencies for that maintenance are reliant on both the vendor and the business to stay current. So that's the tricky part. We've been able to do this very efficiently through a team-based approach that ERPA has been able to provide. So it works well.
Great. And then obviously, right, within any business, whether it's higher ed or a commercial business, right, there's always spikes and fluctuating demand. And, you know, in particular for you guys, you know, I can think about, you know, student enrollment and student registration and things of that nature, where there's really high demand and high peak times of usage within the system. How does the managed services enable you guys to meet those requirements, demand requirements, and keep moving forward steadily?
Yeah,
we work very closely with the team to review workloads and demands so we don't overload ourselves, but also we need to keep up with the demand of business, and that takes a very careful balance, and that is something we've been successful with.
Mark?
Yeah, I would just add, you know, just like on the previous couple of items, now under perfect conditions, you can plan out your projects and upgrades, you know, in order that your team can handle. But sometimes you have this perfect storm that piles up other projects, such as, you know, third-party mandatory upgrades or critical security updates that come at any point on top of your regularly scheduled projects. It would be very challenging to scale up our internal team to immediately accommodate the influx of these projects. But of course, ERPA's extended team is ready to handle such situations, as I stated before. We've had this situation several times happen to us, and always ended up, you know, fulfilling our needs. And this goes beyond scheduled projects as well. You know, we had situations where we had a payroll issue. On top of that, our student payment application stopped working. All of that in the middle of financial year-end rollover, and we needed additional hands on deck, and quickly got it from ERPA and to deal with all the situations. We also had situations where we ran into some performance issues during our peak registration period, and ERPA was there for us to immediately clone and set up additional servers. And this is all in manner of 24/7 support. So it wasn't, you know, it was really quick. You know, we went to sleep, next morning we wake up, servers are out there, and students are happy. So very important to us.
Thank you, Mark and Chris. Vishal, there's a couple of others as well that I know we have noticed at ERPA, you know, relative not only to DSC and FSCJ, but for our other customers, managed services customers too, things such as, you know, fulfilling IT resources gaps, in on-demand functional expertise, and you know, new feature and functionality adoption. Can you walk us through a couple of those things that we're doing with our managed?
Sure, Cecil. So as everybody who's familiar with PeopleSoft application knows, supporting PeopleSoft applications requires a variety of skill sets and IT resources. You require PeopleSoft administrators, PeopleSoft developers, database administrators, PeopleSoft functional and business analysts, and cloud infrastructure specialists. Now, I would say it is difficult to find resources who are super skilled with all of these skills, right? So managed services gives you access to this wide variety of skill sets and PeopleSoft expertise, including specialized skill sets such as PeopleSoft and cloud infrastructure specialist, fluid development, for example, web-based integration, or any niche functional areas. All these are examples, and this specialized skill sets you are able to get from managed services. Now, some of these resources may be required to be ramped up and down based on what Marek and Chris alluded to was the project demand and IT demand, and they may not be required continuously as part of the baseline team. So through managed services, you can ramp up, scale up and scale down resources over the baseline team based on the demand. And when you talk about the on-demand functional expertise, from time to time, functional expertise is required to troubleshoot the functional issues, to answer how-to questions, to configure new features and functionality, to work on functional enhancements, and maybe help with some training. So managed services can also help provide that kind of functional expertise on a need basis, right? They don't have to be part of the baseline team, but on a need basis, this component is available and can help with augmenting your functional efforts. And when it comes to new feature and functionality adoption, Cecil, Oracle PeopleSoft has changed the way it delivers new functionality and features through selective adoption and PUM updates. So new features and functionality are available on a regular basis. And what this allows you to do is incrementally adopt new functionality. With each PUM update, you can incrementally adopt new functionality and features. You don't have to wait for that big upgrade that you had to wait in the past for. So leveraging functional expertise component of managed services, you can now implement selective adoption of new functionality as PUM updates are released and are applied. As part of the PUM updates, what we normally do is we demonstrate the new features. You can select which features to implement, and based on the new functionality and features, we'll configure those, and after you test, we'll deploy it in the system. So those were the key elements, Cecil, that we have seen with some other customers as well when it comes to managed services. And so I think we went through the managed drivers for managed services, and I'd like to summarize the key consideration that we heard from Chris and Marek. First of all, thank you, Chris and Marek, for your perspectives. To quickly summarize the various drivers and considerations, I think the first one was the mission critical application support, which is providing round the clock support for these mission critical applications, such as campus solutions, as well as FSCM and HCM applications. The second aspect is the continuous application and database maintenance, keeping current with release updates and consistent and timely compliance with the security updates. Another aspect was, scaling up support for peak loads. Now, I know for higher ed customers, student registration windows are a very important event. So providing support for such events. Of course, we also provide business continuity and disaster recovery. One of the other aspects that Chris and Marek touched upon was end user customer experience and application performance. And of course, the service levels that are met and exceeded monthly with the robust engagement model and transparent communication model, which is focused on customer success. So I hope that summarized it, Cecil.
No, that you did. That was fantastic, Vishal. Thank you. And I think at this point, right, we've got two quick poll questions that we wanted to throw out to the audience.
Arun, can you project the poll questions, please? Cecil, let's come back to the poll questions. Looks like you're having some technical problem there. But
They're not a problem. So we can keep moving. So again, Vishal, thanks for that summarization around kind of the key drivers. And so next we'll just kind of talk a little bit more with Chris and Mark around their overall experience with ERPA's managed services. So Chris and Mark, I will say that as much as I or we at ERPA would all love to believe and think, we certainly know and understand that no service is ever really perfect. And I think you guys would agree with that, as I say that with a slight chuckle. But Chris, could you share an example or examples of when FSCJ had a challenge or a challenge arose with a component of the service delivery? How did you and ERPA kind of address the situation and overcome the challenge? And has that problem ever reoccurred?
Sure. Yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head that there is no perfect service. I would love to also believe that was real. We've had several. I mean, one of the larger events that occurred was a result of our transition from our previous managed service provider, and it resulted in an extensive service outage. We worked really closely together with the team and ERPA, and without any finger pointing, we made it work, and we were able to recover from that, and it has not occurred again. Lessons learned, we'll call it.
Very good. And Mark, do you have anything kind of to share along those lines as well for DSC?
Well, same applies to us, Cecil. Of course, we've had challenges, but as Chris said, all of our challenges were really turned into an opportunity to improve services and procedures and communications on both sides, ERPA as well as DSC side. So very happy about that. It's not something I can say about all of our service providers that I've dealt with over the years. One of my goals for my team is continuous knowledge growth and improvement, and really the partnership with ERPA is helping me with that big time.
Great, thank you. And then Mark as well, right? Just thinking about the other major projects that you guys have utilized ERPA for, or major events, and that you've asked us to help you guys with or implement or complete while providing the managed services. How did those projects go, and were there any quality issues pertaining to the service as we were working on multiple things in tandem?
Yes, so one of the best examples from DSC standpoint would be our campus solutions upgrade from 9.0 to 9.2 version, along with PeopleTools upgrade project from 8.5.5 to 8.5.6 all at the same time. And the project took about 8 months and was full of challenges, really. But not necessarily because of the version upgrades, but because we had also decided to improve our student and faculty experience and migrate from the classic user interface to the fluid, mobile-friendly interface. And of course, we could have broken down this project into 3 separate projects that would greatly increase the implementation time. It would require many more testing rounds on the functional side. It ultimately would delay getting a better service to our students and also incur much greater costs. So we started this project in 2018. Back then, Fluid had some issues here and there. That was on PeopleTool 856. We were getting some inconsistent test results on supported browsers. But this project really highlighted all the benefits that come with managed services, and in this case, partnership with ERPA. Lots of expertise was needed and provided. Lots of long nights and real dedication all the way up to our actual production deployment. But at the end, ERPA was able to meet the scope requirements and delivered on time and on budget.
Chris, what about anything at FSCJ?
Yes, we've had many projects that were completed, including similar to just what Mark said, the CS92 upgrade, which we went through, and that went very smoothly. We also recently implemented for PeopleSoft single sign-on using SAML, and then the team helped with that. And we also have turned on multi-factor authentication, which was critical for our business. So those are some pretty major ones.
Great, thank you guys. And Chris, kind of along the lines of the single sign-on and multi-factor authentication. I know every organization has a wide variety and a wide number of integrations with other third-party systems and applications. What role does ERPA play for you guys and with you guys, and kind of making sure those things are supported and work correctly with PeopleSoft?
Sure. We run 50 plus interfaces with third parties and vendors, which the ERPA teams works with us very closely to constantly support. I mean, those interfaces vary from the file transfer type to real-time delivery to the ones I mentioned earlier with SSO, but it's a constant support, and it's constantly engaging. So that's our experience, and they definitely actively participate, and there's no real issue with that. Everybody, in fact, it's good for everybody to learn. They like to learn.
Perfect. And then Mark, is anything different for you guys at Daytona State?
Not really. We have similar integrations, tuition payment plans, single sign-on, as Chris mentioned, transcript processing, so all kinds of integrations. And these integrations can be very challenging because of the constant operating system and PeopleSoft and third-party system upgrades. So, again, having ERPA there to support us is very important.
Great. And then one other question that we've heard and seen in the marketplace as it relates to the change orders or pricing changes and things of that nature through the relationship with ERPA. Have you guys ever felt like you've been nickeled and dimed as it relates to strict adherence to contractual limits or numbers or within the statement of work or MSAs with ERPA?
So that's really very simple to answer. We have not been nickeled and dimed. There's been months when we went above certain SOW limits, such as project moves and refreshes, but there has also been months where it was quite quiet from the DSC standpoint, and ERPA recognizes that and balances it at the end. So no problems on that end at all.
And Chris, anything to share or add related to that?
No, similar to that. We haven't felt like we're nickeled and dimed. When we run into things, I'll just say we've never felt like this.
Awesome. And then lastly, you know, for you guys, as it relates to thinking about the audience or, you know, people on the webinar here, but is there anything else you'd like to add around the overall relationship and service with ERPA?
Sure. A strong relationship with ERPA, as it is the case with any vendor, is really important to make sure the services delivered meet the requirements of the business. I've always felt that we can reach out anytime if there's anything we need, and that reach out to the vendor really helps in this case. ERPA responds immediately to us. We have regular quarterly business meetings with the leadership team at ERPA, and that's important. It's important for us to communicate and know and understand what our relationship is like. So, and that's been very good.
And Mark, for you?
Yes, Cecil. So I actually wanted to highlight the communication because communication, just like Chris did, because it's been really good. It feels like your team, your ERPA team, is sitting right next door to us. All the communication channels are always open and very responsive. It's a call, email away, you know, very good experience. I cannot again, you know, many times I had many frustrating experiences with many other vendors, but you know, ERPA's communication is just great, I gotta say.
Well, thank you, Chris and Mark, for your all's answers and certainly for your time, obviously, for this. I'm going to try now to launch the couple of poll questions that we had for the audience, and I'll launch the first one here, and that is just basically trying to see what everybody's role is as it relates to PeopleSoft. We're getting the results, and so it looks like maybe half the group is more on the functional side, and about 30% of the group's on the technical side, and 20% on the management side. Let me select the next poll question here. And this is around how are your PeopleSoft applications being maintained today? Very good. It looks like kind of across the board, there's about half of them are maintained internally, 20% with a managed services vendor, and a little over 35% in a hybrid model. So great, thank you guys for participating in the poll. And Vishal, if you could walk us through the next slide here.
Yes, so this slide, essentially, we wanted to show the scope of work that we are doing for both Daytona State College as well as FSCJ. And the scope of work or the contracts includes incident and problem management, release management, application management, and database and OS administration. And of course, all the service elements, which are the 24/7, 365 support, service level agreement, help desk and ticketing, and engagement governance. So it's pretty similar for both FSCJ and Daytona State College. Just wanted to bring that into perspective for everyone, highlighting what we are doing for both the colleges.
Fantastic. Thanks, Vishal. Well, this brings us kind of to the end of our presentation, and now we'll open up the chat and pay attention to the chat feature within the GoToWebinar space for the audience to submit any questions or comments for conversation and discussion. So hopefully you guys can see the chat feature in the panel on the side, and you can just send that to the organizers and panelists, and we will pick those up as they come in. Chris, there is one question, and well, Chris and Mark, that coming across, and the question relates to how effective was the actual transition of services and support?
So Cecil, in our case, Daytona State College, it was quite effective. It was several years ago, so I don't remember really any big challenges. So I would just summarize it as it was pretty smooth transition.
Yeah, I'll add to that that was one of the comments that I made earlier. That was a challenge for us. We had to move really quick, so it wasn't an ERPA issue more than it was an FSCJ issue, or the college, Florida State College issue, in that we had to move very quickly. And there was a lot of, and because we were in the implementation still for parts of the system, it did pose some challenges. We still got through it, like I indicated, and the teams worked closely. So with the term effective, we made it work, and it worked for us. So that would be the difference for us, is we were in implementation versus already implemented.
Great, thank you guys. And then it looks like we've got one other question, and it's really pertaining to maintenance and maintenance windows. So, how are the maintenance windows scheduled? Does your service provider provide flexibility around the scheduling of the maintenance windows? And how do you effectively plan for it?
That's a great question, and I can certainly speak to that. We have so many projects constantly on the move, from dev to train to testing and to production, and of course the upgrades themselves. And we couldn't really fit those into a same monthly window, or bi-weekly or something like that. So we have this flexible deployment schedule, really, and ERPA team is very accommodating in that sense. We'd like to give them, as much prior notice as possible, so they can have, they can prepare, make sure that they have staff available to do these upgrades and projects. But that flexibility really allows us to move things faster to production, such as bug fixes and even enhancements that we need right away in the middle of registration and such. So it's worked out really well for us.
I'll add to it that for us, the way we operate our maintenance is that we do, from the college side, we do plan a year in advance because we do know what what the dates that Oracle's going to release these items. So we have a year plan that we kind of lay out and say exactly when we're going to align our schedules to time them with our windows for registration, fiscal year end, all these activities that we have to do. And ERPA works with us on those. We give them a year advance notice and we do it the way we're doing it, and it works.
Yeah, we're getting ready to tee that up pretty quickly, right, Chris?
Absolutely.
We talked about that the other week. So, no, thank you guys for that. I don't see any other questions coming in.
Yeah, so Cecil, I see the question coming in.
Okay.
The question is for the colleges, what ERP support functions do you maintain in-house that are not provided by ERPA? So I guess what in terms of responsibility delineation, what is it that ERPA does and what is it that the colleges do? I think that's the spirit of the question.
For Florida State College, our development is in-house. So any of our application development dealing with customizations, maintaining the integration code line, developing the app engines necessary, those pieces, as well as the infrastructure piece and all that, to support the college itself is in-house. So I hope that answers part of it.
And that is exactly how we do it at Daytona State College as well. The OS level and patching is done internally as well as the development, but the application, the PeopleSoft application stack is maintained by ERPA. Did that answer that question, Vishal?
Yes. I think, Cecil, if you can go back to that slide where we have the scope, that will be also a visual indicator of, what the scope is. Yes, so this is part of the support for both the colleges.
It looks like somebody, Michelle, this wasn't the one you just went through right around. Any challenges as it relates to problems you encountered with any customized processes, and were the developers from the service provider able to quickly adapt to learning and managing those customizations?
Yeah, so Cecil, since the colleges are retaining the development in-house,
yeah.
But we have the ability, and the way we have worked with other customers is there is a transition period in which we take an inventory of the customizations, and we have a very solid and a robust transition process. In that process, we learn about all the integrations, we learn about the customizations, and there is a reverse, I would say reverse knowledge transfer, where we present what we have learned about the system, and then only we commence on the responsibility transfer for managed services. So there is a very solid process for understanding customizations, and that process typically happens at the beginning, and it's about a week or two of time that we invest in that. I hope that answers the question.
No, perfect. I think so.
And Vishal, I'll add to that. We have faced this at Florida State College with customized processes that we have done, that the developers at ERPA are able to adapt and help us in many cases see what we may be doing wrong or how we can improve the process, and including the DBAs. That's happened very frequently for us. And it's the challenges we overcome them quickly.
Thank you, Chris, for that insight and perspective.
Well, I think that brings us kind of to the end here. So in closing, I want to offer my sincere thanks to Chris and Marek for participating with us today as our panelists for the PeopleSoft Managed Services webinar. We are forever grateful for your support and partnership. We also want to thank all of you in our audience today for taking the time out of your busy schedules and joining us for this webinar. We hope you found the conversation and information insightful and helpful. ERPA would welcome the opportunity to discuss our managed service offerings with you in more detail and answer any additional questions you may have. And of course, we'd love to have the opportunity to work more closely with you and directly with you in the near future as well. Thank you all and take care.